Now that we got this up in the air, I'm using the rotary lift 14,000 pound scissors alignment lift. So this is the XA14, fully alignment packaged ready, rear slip plates. It's got front slip plates, fully adjustable, different lengths. The rear slip plates are air locking. Then you've got the rolling jacks, low profile lower rolling jacks. So this Corvette, being a lower car, you can see how close it's sitting to the runway. Clears completely, no problems at all with this rolling jack moving forward or backward. You can also get extended ramps here, so there's no problem, no having to put race ramps in front or extensions to try to get low clearance cars up. You can still drive them right on. You could also flush mount this down in the ground and have these runways flat with the concrete, which makes it even better. If you're pouring a new shop floor, I strongly suggest putting it in the ground. Unfortunately, this place existed, so this one sits on top, which is totally fine too. Oh yeah, look at that. Tie rod end is just bent like crazy. This lower arm's bent. Ooh, I don't think the caliper's supposed to be sitting like that. Ouch. Wow, that is bad. I've never worked on one of these before, so we're gonna find out what we gotta do. It looks like this lower shield's cracked as well, so I'm guessing we're gonna have to pull this lower shield off, possibly this aluminum skid plate here. Looks like we got our oil filter right there. I was just forgetting that this was a rear engine car, wondering why there was an oil filter in the back of this thing, but duh, motor's in the back. Well, let's strip these plates off and get that tire off, see what else is damaged. All right, looks like we got a few 7mm bolts and a couple push clips. We're gonna take that bottom shield off. There we go. A little bit of dirt under there, not too bad. It's like we got just a tiny bit of damage right here. Nothing bad at all though. That'll bolt right back on. No big deal. Well, I've never seen underneath one of these guys. So take the rear splash shield off, or aluminum plate. That's what we're looking at. Bottom of that nice big motor these guys got. Good time to do an oil change, I suppose. Only had to take out about 1 million bolts, give or take 1 million. So I used 12 mil socket on all those star bits. Probably not the exact one to use, but it worked and they didn't strip out at all. There's a bunch of 13 mil, so about 10 of those across this plastic plate. That aluminum plate was kind of tucked up under here. And then there's actually 3 10 mil bolts, one in the center and one on each corner that hold the plate on as well. So 10, 12, 13 mil sockets get the plastic shroud. Oh, and a 7 mil for the plastic shroud and that aluminum plate. Now that we got the bottom uncovered here, we're gonna move over to the wheel. Actually, we'll get this thing jacked up off the lift so we can get that wheel off. Before we get this lifted up off the runways here, I'll show you the jack real quick. This is a 7,000 pound rolling jack, so it rides in these rails back and forth. It's going to allow me to lift the car up. The really nice thing with this is there's multiple adapters you can use for unibody cars like this Corvette. We can use a thicker rubber block, or there's a thinner rubber block, and they're going to sit right inside this channel here so they don't move side to side. If I was doing my pickup, you have frame engaging adapters, and they actually thread up and down, so you can extend the height of these. You can also use different pins. So you've got a little over a 3-inch pin and a 5, and those can actually drop right in this hole here. I don't have enough clearance on this car, but those drop right in that hole. Don't drop them. They'll bust your floor. So they drop in the hole there, and then you can put this adapter right in the top of those pins. So very accommodating to all vehicles. You just have your air line tied in here. We're gonna hit this pedal down and the whole thing's gonna raise up. I'm gonna use these shorter blocks, I think. What I'm gonna do is probably pick it right up. I wanna make sure I got room on this side to work and remove this. So I'll probably just end up going right off this subframe here. That's definitely gonna be strong enough. And I have enough room here to put the larger blocks in. So we can get those in there. The car's a little off to that side as far as on the rack. So what we'll end up doing, I think, is just moving this in a little bit. Kind of hitting the same pickup points. We'll get air hooked to this and get it lifted up. And I'm gonna chock the front tires. Right now, I'm not gonna lift the front. So being rear wheel drive, I don't wanna lift the rear and allow the front to roll on me. So we'll get those chocked. Let's get this thing lifted up. the lowering valve. Now it's lowered on the lock. It's safe to work on. You always want to be on the locks on any lift. The alignment rack is on the locks as well. So if anything were to fail, like a hydraulic hose, pump, anything like that, it's safe. The car will not drop on you, especially for a 2-post lift. Always want to be on the lock. Those hydraulic hoses aren't meant to hold all that pressure when you just lift a vehicle up and leave it. Always lower it down to the locks. You can avoid a lot of issues with it on the lock. That wheel I thought was going to fall off on me. I don't think it's supposed to do that. Oh my goodness. Wow. Oh, that thing's messed up. Let's get it apart. All right, got these loosened up. I think this will come off without the lug nuts actually. Looks pretty ugly in here. Light wheel. Oh. Wow. That is not supposed to happen. I've never seen a brake rotor completely disintegrated like that. Wow. There is so much bad in here. Oh my God. As you'll notice, the rear drive shaft's already out because, well, there's part of it. There's part of it. That thing just snapped. God. Well, I mean, it looks like the upper control arm is okay, and the strut is okay. Definitely not supposed to have a bend in the tie rod end like that. I'm gonna say we need a brake rotor. Just taking a guess on that one. Wow, God, that upper knuckle there is just destroyed. Jeez. Well, time to start taking some parts off. That lower arm is really bent too right here. So for sure, lower control arm, knuckle, axle, brake rotor. Hopefully this rear e-brake is okay. Electronic brake. So this electronic solenoid here is gonna run in the e-brake, emergency brake or park brake pads. So hopefully that's okay. Well, time to take off some more parts. Let's get this e-brake off. 16 mil. Pretty sure the only thing keeping this hung on, is that tiny bolt right there for the dust shield and the tie rod end bolt. That is it. Otherwise, this thing would just be gone in the wind. Come on. Who knows if this stuff's bent at all? A little harder to get to this one now. Felt like that was gonna come out by hand. Guess not. One of those bolts. This will get that off in there. Oh. Was it? This thing might just be jammed in there. Oh yeah. Pry bar it is, I guess. Oh, you know what? The e-brake might even be on. Might automatically set itself. There's probably a lot of pressure on these pads right now. Battery's dead. Huh. Well. Maybe pull this out. It's gotta be 10 mil. That thing's probably gonna want to drop. Oh man, yep. All right, we don't want to bust out the sensors. That's pretty gross. So we got the, looks like the rear ABS sensor here. I don't want any pulling on that, so we'll take that out. This really sucks. pulls right out there. Oh man, thing's not light. Now to get this sensor or this wire harness off the emergency brake, we're gonna slide that little clip out. Then we should be able to push down. Oh, looks like it's broken here. There we go. Or is it just, oh no. It was just unclipped. That looks okay. So no damage to the plug end on that. We can tuck that up out of the way here for now. Let's just set that up here. Okay. Little paint chip right there. Doesn't look too bad. Doesn't look, I mean, other than probably need to do brake pads. A little chunk missing there. Well, that might be fun. The bolt, the caliper bolt is broke off on this side. So we'll see if we have to get a new caliper or not. Might be able just to get this threaded out and save this. We're gonna set that down right here. Looks like the other dust shield bolt is hanging on the bottom there. We'll get the ABS sensor out of the way as well. Fender liner's all tore up here, so I'll have to get a new one of those. And it'll be nice to get this off to see if there's any damage behind here where the rim clearly got pushed into. A little bit of damage on this back splash guard, so I'll have to get a new one of those. I don't even know how that comes off. Oh, it feels like it's just a clip. Look at that. And it broke off right there. It's okay, it's damaged anyway. Wow, that's just a couple clips in there. That's it. That's probably the easiest thing I'll take off on this car, I'm sure. We'll get the tie rod end off and this dust shield. I think I'm gonna have to take the dust shield off so I can get to this bolt. One greasy mess. There we go. Oh, the bolt fell in the grease. Nasty. All right. Take the, as long as I got the 10 mil socket on, we'll take the brake line bracket off the lower control arm. in there. So we just got this to take off. That is definitely going to be bigger than, yeah. So much nasty grease in this thing. That is not supposed to look like that. Wow. We'll end up taking this top part off from the upper control arm. Nice thing with this, if you wanted to swap the entire suspension, looks like if you took off the tie rod end, the brake caliper, you could unbolt the strut, one bolt here, pop that off, and then you've got your upper control arm bolts, and then you've got lower control arm bolt on that side and that side. Take off the axle nut on the front of this, and I bet this whole thing could come right out. I think that's how we're gonna buy the parts, just a whole assembly, and then we'll have everything needed. Looks like most everything is 13/16 as far as control arm bolts or tie rod end. Hopefully it comes off all right. Oh, that feels all right. And I think it's spinning. I'll have to get a wrench to find out on that. No sense in even trying to take that one off because that whole arm's got to come off anyway. This has got to come off. There we go. So that's the strut bolt. The sticker is messed up. We'll put that back in there so we know where it goes. To look at the other side. I don't think that is bent. We'll have to look at the other side and double check it. All right, wrench. All right, so what happens with a lot of these is the stud itself spins as well. So you can see the threads are moving with it. So all it's doing is just spinning inside the socket. So me spinning this doesn't do any bit of good. On the end of it, well, let's take a look at this one. So inside here, there's a Allen key bolt. So what you got to do to get this to hold right now, there's some other tricks. Sometimes you can put pressure on here and it'll hold that tight. I was talking about this control arm or this tie rod end spinning. You can see that it's spinning. So when you're trying to take it off, what you'll do is grab an Allen, get it locked in there. You can hold this from spinning while you take that nut back off on this end link here. We're gonna get this fender liner out. One of the bolts is hiding back here for the upper control arm. I am gonna take this upper arm off, just pop the whole assembly off. Looks like there's a couple push clips in here. Where were they? Maybe. There's one right at the top. Now we can get a little better look at damage if there's more. Heat shield, it just kind of hangs there. It's a little weird. And then computer. Well, that's actually broken right there. Looks like it. Is it broken? Looks like maybe it snapped away from right there. Looks like that's where it's supposed to go. So, how I think there's 3 bolts in there. I think we'll have to take this off in order to get to the upper control arm bolt back here. Might just make life easier to pop that off. It'd be amazing if that's just an aluminum spacer strictly for the fender liner to screw in right there. That's all that is. Just a spacer bracket. But now we got full access to that top bolt. Much easier than trying to get a wrench back behind it and mess around with that. 3 quick 10mm bolts, and now we have easy work. So let's get that upper arm off. The strut's loose because we took that away, that bolt from the back of the knuckle here. So now we can just take this whole thing off. Otherwise you'd be having to get, let's see if I can spin this around, another bolt, and you can separate this upper arm, but we're gonna replace it all just in case that's bent in any way that we can't see. You just don't know. Ooh, be careful. The right one was longer than the inner one, so be careful when you're pulling these out. They go back in the right place. And there's washer back there, 2 of them. So these came out from behind there. Now we'll get the bottom control arm. So the lower control arm is going to have a bolt and a nut there, and another one right there. And then this lower arm will slide out. One thing you'll notice, that washer isn't centered, meaning this is where you do your alignment adjustments from. And we'll get in that in another video once we get the suspension all back together. But that's not just a standard washer. That's an actual alignment adjustment washer. So we'll get to that later on. For now, they can just come out. So we'll get the rear bolt here. Works it off just a little bit. There we go. You know what? I might be able to do it. This one. Oh yeah. Should just come right on out. There we go. Yeah. I don't think that's supposed to be there. I noticed the computer was kind of laying loose when I pulled the liner out. And it does mount right inside the rear quarter here. However, so this plastic is mounted in here like that. That's where the computer sits, mounted in here. Unfortunately, these 4 bolts are what the computer is bolted to, and it is destroyed. So looks like we need a new holder for the computer. Easy fix. Kind of what it looks like. Suspension out, fender liner out. Relatively easy job. Would be a lot quicker if I wasn't trying to video all of it. Still need to get this guy off yet. And I think that's it. Then we're ready for new suspension to go back in. Last one to take off be this tie rod end. Trying to figure out, a lot of times you just can unthread from in here, but there's no steering rack on the back like a traditional tie rod end would be. I'm not seeing anything other than this bolt on the backside. I'm wondering if you can take this nut off and the whole thing just pops out. So we're gonna give that a shot. You can see it right in there as well. So we're gonna take that out, and hopefully this bar just pops right out. That's all that is. It's just a giant bolt runs through the subframe there.